afternoon session. We have a couple of IHE presentations on the content and the organization around IHE profiles. So we have 90 minutes, 5 presenters, and I would just like to give the word to Oliver Egger, the co-chair of IHE ITI and author of lots of good things that we've seen today.
Okay, hello, can you hear me? Hello everyone in Switzerland. Nice to have so many people from international projects here. So I'm working in this domain since quite a few years, helping organizations trying to make the health data agile or exchangeable. And for that, I'm also working with different standardization organizations. So in HL7 Switzerland, I'm a technical manager for them. But also we have a lot to do with IHE, as you might hear before on the keynote before. So we have a national organization, IHE Switzerland, where I'm a member. And what my main task is also participating in the IHE International Technical Committee. So IHE has different domains, and one of the main, maybe it's the boring domain from a medical perspective, but you have some kind of infrastructure stuff to do, so that's the ITI. You see a lot of acronyms here, so bear with me. You can also hand up your hands. It's an educational session. Please interrupt me if this is too complicated with acronyms. Who knows what a profile is? Who knows what a fire profile is? Who knows what the ITI profile is? And who think they are the same? You see interoperability at its best, I would say. So profile, I would say the origin, I don't know where the origin actually came from, but IHE was for sure the first which used it in this term, is a definition of a use case where you have actors, where you have transaction, and added this into a technical framework. Hi, Graham. HL7 has also profiles. They use it in FHIR for constraining resources. So we have here now the nice picture that is somehow different, but not exactly. But nevertheless, so I hope until we are through here with this session, you know now the differences. So this is from Jürgen Brandstetter. He rightly explained it in a more descriptive graphical way, how this works, the process, how those profiles got developed. So on one hand, we have different base standards, and then IHE in such a technical framework selects out of these base standards different standards to cover such a use case, and it gets tested, that you will hear afterwards from Alexander how the process is, and can be put into the market and deployed, hopefully, everywhere. So this is the more technical view of it. IHE has the organization set up that you have developers representatives, users representatives, or with the developers, the vendors. They together implement a technical framework or specify a technical framework which consists of these profiles. These profiles gets then tested at connectatons, and so you get a feedback loop because you find errors in the specifications, you find error in the products and in the testing tools. And with this cycle, in the end, you get the final profile, which then can be used by everyone, hopefully. IHE has different domains. So I think it's 13 domains. Today, I talk to you about ITI profile development in the ITI infrastructure domain, but I think this is actually the same, the process, how this should work or how this works. So these technical frameworks, how they call it, where these profiles are selected, were in the beginning PDF documents. Some are still doing that as PDF document. We in the ITI committee have now slowly changed to go to a web-based publication. So you see you have here all these different topics, what it is, ITI infrastructure, and then you have a separation of different levels. So you have a volume 1 where you have the use case description, the profile definition. You have a volume 2 where you have the technical, the interfaces, the transactions, we call them, how they work out. And in the volume 3, you have the metadata, the content profile, how that should look. And seen a bit more, so we have an integration profile, which consists then of different actors, and where you have these transactions specified. I put here 2 which are quite new or updated. As an example, this one here is called Secure Retrieve Profile. This is a profile which allows you to securely retrieve a document. And this helps you. You need also secure is in the sense of meaning you have some authorization behind it. You need to get to do something that you can download that document. So this profile is now out in public comment, and you can bring in feedback. So this is how this profile development works. You first try to create a version, and then it gets out in a public comment phase, and afterwards, if it's then a long time in public comment, no, it's not a long time, this is within the cycle, in the public comment, it gets then as a trial implementation. We see that in the next step. Another profile, I think it's probably the most famous in the ITI committee, is the MHD profile, mobile health documents. And this profile looks different now. Somebody recognizing it, what that could be? So this is, what's it? Oh, thank you. You saved me. So we switched now also in the IHE, ITI, that the profiles we define where it's possible that we do, FHIR implementation guides. A FHIR implementation guide is a way how you can specify now all these profiles also for the FHIR-based world. So if you have a use case which one you want to represent in FHIR, they are normally described in a FHIR implementation guide. And we still have the same structurization, so we still keep this volume 1 where you have the actors definition, you see them down here, then you have the volume 2 which defines the transaction, and you have to define the volume 3 where you have the content. But what you get then afterwards in addition with it, you get then also conformance resources. So in when you do a specification based on FHIR, you define so-called structure definitions or value sets or code systems. So you can add this all into this implementation guide, and this makes it much more suitable for testing then, be that at project-a-thons or connect-a-thons, because you can validate if you are testing and developing like that. And another nice thing, looking from a developer side, is you can also add examples to such a FHIR implementation guide. And I think this is something in IHE, ITI, we had some kind of a server where we had an FTP resources with implementation material, but it was not easy foundable. And now you have all this example and stuff right at your fingertip when you browse it to it. So the question is now how we get to such profiles, how the process is. And how this is done is that each of this domain has on one side a planning committee and on the other hand a technical committee. And then the planning committee makes a call for work items. So what should we pick up in the next cycle? These are mostly annual cycles starting at some point, and the members can input work item proposals. Then afterwards, these work item proposals are assessed by the technical committee, and then the planning committee and technical committee are deciding on the amount of resources they have, how to proceed forwards, which one do we work on. We do then monthly planning weeklies, there are telcos every 2 weeks, and 3 times a year we have, lately it were mostly face-to-face, no, virtual meetings, weekly meetings. Now we are probably going slowly back to face-to-face meeting where we work on these different work items. Then afterwards there is this public comment phase. So this first draft gets out to the public, everybody can have a look at it, and then it goes into the trial implementation phase. After a few times it will be tested at trial implementation phase, it will then go to final text. Give you a bit of peek view what we are working on. So there are different categories. I think it's too far to go into all these acronyms, but in tenants there is too much work to do. Then we have resources, because this are mostly people like they probably because a project can sponsor a part-time, but often it's also work from people who want to bring these topics forward. So this is a mixture between volunteer and paid due to some project in the background. So that's a bit my call from here. If any one of you in projects can spare one of your architects or even users or developers or vendor, please join us in whatever IHE planning or technical committee you would like to work on. This brings you then also the opportunity to help also with what kind of work item could be prioritized or could be adjusted to your needs. So this was my call for participating in the IHE committees. Tested, is it here down to the floor? I think you will. Did you see it already, or will you go afterwards? So you have the opportunity to see how this is tested. We have on one side this IHE testing, our Swiss side project testing. And if you want to get in contact with IHE topics, you can also just, we have a website from HL7, makes a chat system where there is also an IHE stream. So if you have any question about IHE, now more from the technical or developer side, feel free to put that in there too. Do you have any questions? So if no, then I hand over to Jose. Thanks.
Thank you, Oliver.